Hey, welcome back to LongRangeOnly.com. Just finished loading up some more 6.5 Creedmoor rounds for the Christensen Arms Summit TITH. And what we're going to do with these, we're going to finish that review. So let's go talk about part 2 of the Christensen Arms 6.5 Creedmoor Summit review. Okay, Jeff Brozovich with LongRangeOnly.com, back for part 2 of the Christensen Arms 6.5 Creedmoor Summit review. Okay, first thing we should do is we should recap a little bit from part 1 of the review, where I disassembled the rifle, showed you all the components. You can look that up and watch that too. It'd probably be a good idea to see just what this rifle is made of. And also, I should make mention, Christensen Arms sells every one of these components individually. If you want to buy a barrel, obviously they make great barrels, you can buy a barrel. If you want to buy the stock, you can buy the stock. You want to buy the trigger, you can buy the trigger. Muzzle brakes, you name it. They've got every component to build this rifle, and they'll sell them to you individually. So you can either customize your own rifle or build one, build one of your own. So first off, I should mention here a few things that I did change on this rifle. I had mentioned in part 1 that I was a little concerned about the radial muzzle brake. I changed it out for their side discharge tunable muzzle brake. Both are titanium. The radial muzzle brake it comes with doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It reduced recoil real well. It worked fine. It just wasn't going to fit my needs because I'm a long range shooter and I shoot prone most of the time. So the radial design tends to blow up dirt and dust and make a stink like that. So I tend to favor this type of brake. So I put that on, and I should mention that, if you're a sheep hunter or somebody that would buy a rifle like this, or the type of hunter that's going to do most of their shooting offhand, the radial brake was actually a little quieter than the side discharge brake, and it would be fine for every other position other than shooting prone. But like I said, I'm a long range guy. I had to have something that'll work prone. So on from that, I changed out the bolt knob. With weight in mind, and this rifle coming out of the box at 6.2 pounds, Christensen has been very aware of weight and reducing weight wherever they can, wherever it's not absolutely needed. So they installed a small bolt knob on here. Me wanting to be able to grab that in a hurry, just in the event that I would need a second round, I installed a little bigger bolt knob here. Okay. The other thing I've done is I put a Picatinny rail mount on the front and installed an Evolution bipod. Very stable bipod. We've done a review on that. You can look it up on our site. I'm really growing to like this bipod. Been doing quite a bit of shooting with it. And as you can see in this video, you should pay attention to the low recoil of this rifle and how it stays right where it's supposed to. I always see my hits. Even at 100 yards, I'm watching holes go into paper. So pretty nice, and that's a result of a well-balanced rifle, a good bipod, low recoil, and the thumb hole stock, which again reduces some felt recoil. I should also mention that I mounted on the Picatinny rail that's built on the action. I mounted on a Night Force 5.5 by 22 by 50 NXS scope. This is one I just had around. I'm very fond of these scopes. I use Night Force rings and mounted that all up. So that's what I chose for an optic. Something I had. I chose it to do the review. I would probably opt for a little lighter scope for the ideal situation with this rifle, but because I had this and it was readily available, that's what I used. So next up was load development. It was pretty short and sweet, really. I tried some factory ammo. It shot okay, but I knew the rifle could do better. The test target that came with this rifle showed it shot .3 MOA. I was looking to try to match that. Didn't take me very long, and I'll show you a picture here of the load workup in groups that I shot with this gun. My first attempts were bouncing around there at .4, .5 MOA. I made a powder change, went to H4350 for powder. I used the Berger 140 hunting VLD, and bingo, got a .3 group. It seemed to be repeating there. I checked and dialed in my zero and rechecked that zero, and I'll show you some footage of that at the range. And from there, we were done. It didn't take that many rounds. It was pretty sweet. The gun was consistent. I like that. So from there, you know, we just zeroed and we took it on out. I typically don't video zeroing a rifle, but I had all the camera equipment there because I was preparing to shoot some longer range video that day. So this gun was being so consistent and I was so impressed with it. I wanted to try to see if I could accomplish a bingo dead nuts zero on video. So using my phone scope, had my phone recording through the spotting scope at 100 yards, and I laid down and made this shot to confirm my zero. And you'll get a kick out of this. Watch this shot. Okay, zero check at 100. This will be our final zero check. The accuracy is there. I'm going for the upper left circle. A little dot in the center. A little dot in the center is just under a quarter MOA. She's under a quarter inch. So let's see how she does. Folks, you just gotta love a rifle that makes you smile. I'll take that. I had already done all my chronograph work. I knew what the velocity was. I plugged all my ballistic information into my ballistic app. I use Shooter for this one. It's quick and simple. Put everything in there. Used Brian Litt's BC for the bullet, and stepped it out to 400 yards. And here's the results in the video from the 400 yard shooting. Okay, 400 yards, Christensen Arms, Summit, TITH, 140 grain Berger with a Night Force NXS. Here we go, first shot at distance. There you go. Had a little bit of wind. Need a little bit of right in it, but pretty close to center on those. So that's good. Let's move it on out and see how we do. From there, I did a little playing around with the gun over a weekend. We were shooting some video for another thing we were doing, and I got to make a few long range shots with the gun. Everything was tracking well. I shot in some 500 and 600 yard shots with it, and everything looked pretty good. So instead of wasting a lot of time in this video with all that footage, I went ahead and I took it right out to 800 yards to shoot my steel gong. Mirage was bad this day, but results were good. Here's the footage of that. Okay, here we go. Christensen Arms, Summit, TITH, and 6.5 Creedmoor. Berger, 140 grain, Hunting VLD, Night Force NXS, 5.5 to 22. 800 yards. Dead center. And another. There you have it. Okay, so in conclusion, there ain't a whole lot bad I can say about this rifle. Wasn't hard to make shoot. It load was easy. I didn't play around a lot with that, but hey, when it goes under a half minute right away and it wants to repeat, I go with it. So not a lot of bad stuff about this rifle. I'm kind of bonding, building up a little love affair here. But just to keep it honest, I'll do a little nitpicking. Maybe Christensen could offer a optional bolt knob. They make a bigger bolt knob. Give you an option on that. The other thing I think they could possibly do is maybe offer an upgrade to this brake. It is a higher priced brake, but some people may choose that to make the rifle just like you want it. Offer an option change there or something. And then the last but not least thing I want to pick on is the zero MOA rail. There's no reason to make a rifle with a zero MOA rail. You know, about any scope you pick out there will zero at 100 yards with a 20 MOA rail. The reason I'm picking on this, you know, this gun with this scope, you know, I can get to 1,400 yards for a dead center hold and dialing it up. But I'm one of them goofy guys that when target practicing like to play around. And I took this rifle to my 1 mile rock, and I wanted to dial and make a 1 mile shot with it. I ran out of elevation in the scope. You know, I needed 56 minutes, and I ran out about 46 or 48 minutes. You know, I could have held reticle, but I thought, well, you know what? I'm just stretching it farther than it's meant to be stretched. Now, it's a lightweight rifle. It's not meant to shoot like that, but I just think there's no reason to offer at least a 10-minute rail or maybe a 20-minute rail. So that brings us to the final. Hey, where do we go from here? What are we going to do now? I got some clues here in front of you. I'm holding the bear tag, so might see this rifle on a bear hunt really soon. My wife's holding an antelope tag, so probably going to see her whack an antelope with it. And later in the year, this thing's light enough, I just might stick it in the backpack when I go lion hunting. And we might take it out and see if we can whack a lion with this baby. So that's the conclusion. This is Jeff Brozovich from LongRangeOnly.com. If you like the review, you got something out of it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook. Come on over to LongRangeOnly.com, where we do long range right, and learn all you can on our site about long range hunting and shooting. Until next time, thanks for watching.